I'm Catherine, and today I'd like to share my self-care favorites for the month of April. These are things that I'm using to support my self-care practice as we're starting to enter spring and the energy is changing, even if the weather isn't entirely. It's snowing outside my window right now, but things are starting to shift. It's a new part of the year, and my self-care practices are shifting along with that. So I'm going to show you 3 things that I'm using this month to help channel my energies in the right direction, take restorative time out, and also help open up new directions for the rest of the year. And the reason that I'm sharing these with you this month is to help inspire you and get some ideas going. So if you're new to self-care, these might be helpful to get you started right from the beginning of your self-care practice. And maybe if self-care is something that you practice all the time, these ideas can help give you a new direction and get you out of a rut. My first self-care essential for this month is the book that takes its time. You may have seen this around in bookstores. It's really popular right now, and I'm starting to see it pop up everywhere, but when I found it in a local store, I had never heard of it before and just got really excited because this is a book that's published by the people who make Flow magazine. It says that it's a Flow book right up at the top, and Flow magazine is a mindfulness and kind of craft-based magazine. So I obviously love that and hope to use that in videos in the future as well. And this is kind of like the magical, gigantic, expanded version of the magazine. And the subtitle for this is An Unhurried Adventure in Creative Mindfulness. So the idea behind the book is how to introduce people to mindfulness and taking time out and being self-reflective, while also making sure that you're doing it in a slow-paced way. So the introduction in this book really talks about taking your time with the book, not rushing through your day either by taking your mindfulness out of the book into your life, and trying to slow down the pace and to try to find some respite from the fast-paced, rushed nature of our world right now by slowing down and being attentive and reflective. So this book is like a crafty, hands-on masterpiece. If we open it up, you'll see that it's filled with beautiful, colorful illustrations, things that you can pull out of the book, you can write directly in the book, and it's got tons of different prompts for journaling, for reflection. There are templates for pen pal postcards. There's lots of stuff that you can send to pen pals out of this book. There are articles. I think there are recipes as well. And I haven't looked through the entire book yet because I'm trying to follow the philosophy of it and not rush ahead and kind of avoiding the spoilers mindset of getting directly to the end by just rushing through everything that's there. But it's just a treasure to be able to work my way through it whenever I have a few free moments, or if I need to pointedly carve time out of my day, I turn to this book. So if you see this around in a bookstore, I definitely recommend checking it out and getting your hands on it, and it's also available for sale online. My second self-care thing that I'm really into right now is the Esther Perel podcast. This is called Where Should We Begin? If you haven't heard of Esther Perel, she is a couples therapist who is just awesome. She is amazing. She's written a book. She has this podcast series now, and she's an active couples therapist. And what the podcast is that she records actual sessions with the consent of different couples that she works with, and makes her podcast out of compiling all of the material from those sessions into an hour-long episode where you get to hear their story anonymously. And you get to hear the couple work through their problems with Esther and hear them problem solve with her, hear her ideas and activities that she does in the sessions, and her directions for homework and taking things out of the session into their real life. And the range of couples that are included on the show is really inclusive, very diverse. There are LGBTQ couples, there are parents who have adopted children. So you get to hear about the experiences of couples from all kinds of different backgrounds and different types of relationships. And I find it really useful to think through my own relationship, but also to think through communication with other people in general and how to improve communication, how to communicate in a way that achieves happiness and respect for everybody involved. And really, you don't have to be in a relationship to get something out of this program. Although I do have other friends who listen to the podcast as well, and they listen with their partners. So it's something that you could listen to in the car or while you're cooking in the kitchen together, and then discuss what happens in the episode. And it's just a really good tool for thinking about how we talk, how we communicate, how we interact and care for each other. This podcast is a self-care tool for me for a couple different reasons. One being that I just love listening to audiobooks and podcasts during the day when I am doing a task where I can kind of listen and do something else at the same time and distract me from my brain going off in a million different directions that are unhelpful. So it kind of helps to ground me. And also it's a really good tool for self-reflection and thinking about my relationships with others. You can find Where Should We Begin on Audible or iTunes, and I really recommend it. So my third and final self-care favorite for this month is a little bit clunky, but worth it, I think. My yoga blocks. What, you say? Why am I sharing this with you? This is not a workout video, but there are important reasons for why these are one of my favorite self-care tools today. So, I was first introduced to using yoga blocks when I started taking public classes because I just had never sought out or tried to use them at home because I didn't have them. I didn't want to spend money on them. But now that I've tried them, I've found that they're a really important part of my fitness experience and making sure that I'm exercising, stretching, practicing yoga in a way that is caring for my body and not stressful to it, to the point of it not working for my particular body type. And I just want to say before I lose my audience here that you don't have to necessarily invest in blocks to achieve what I'm talking about, because this is less about the yoga block itself and more about making sure that the way that you're stretching, exercising, whatever your movement is for the day, that you're using the props that you need in order to care for your body and not pressure yourself into achieving a pose that's just not working for you, or stretching too deep when you're really at this level rather than this level. But what I'm talking about is making sure that you are putting in options and potential in your exercise or movement program where you are working at your level. So yoga blocks for me are the thing. You can also, for a lot of poses or stretches, use a large book like a dictionary, or if you have a phone book or something lying around. I'm sure that I've got a book in all of this that is the right thickness for it. And you can also use pillows for certain things where you might use a block. It all depends on if you're using them for like stability when you're moving rapidly, then you might want to invest in actual blocks. But if it's just to lift you up a little bit or to help you fit comfortably into a stretch or something like that, then you can use something other than an actual block. You just have to DIY it and try what works for you. But I'm really glad that I did get some cheapy cork blocks off of Amazon, because these have made it so that I'm no longer, when I'm doing yoga, forcing myself into a stretch or a twist or a lunge where I can just feel tension and feel a limitedness in my range of movement, where that's all that I think about when I'm doing the posture, is that I just can't get there and that it feels really uncomfortable. And this just lifts me a little bit up off the ground if I put my hand on it or whatever, and helps me open up. And then often I'll start using a block at the beginning of a practice, and then I won't need to use it by the end because I will have loosened up, stretched, gotten my flexibility. But I really wanted to share this with you for anybody who exercises or does their movement practices at home and isn't using any props but is trying to achieve perfect form all the time, that you really don't need to force yourself into that. And there are ways that you can be more comfortable while exercising and still get all of the benefits. Especially when you have chronic pain, these can really help you find a position that relieves that. And I love that, you know, the science of the block is that you've got multiple levels here. You can put it like this, or like this. So whatever level of adjustment you need, you can achieve it all with just this little rectangular object. So the moral of that story is that part of my self-care routine right now is finding ways of movement and exercise that feel good for me, that work for me, that help me achieve whatever my goals are, but also don't feel like I'm hurting or pushing myself. So I hope that you enjoyed this glimpse into my self-care routine this month and that you might be able to try something based off of my ideas. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications of every new video. Bye!